everybody. Welcome to another edition of First Look's Final Word. My name's Pete.
And I'm Trevor. Yeah, this is the podcast where we take you along the ride with us to go see a new movie.
Yes, and this week's episode, we're doing The Iron Claw.
Yeah.
Which I know nothing about at this point. I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Oh, really? So you're going in like totally blind?
Yeah, I didn't really do much research for this one. I kind of didn't want to get too much into it, especially because it's like based off of true events. So
yeah,
whenever I'm going into something like that, I'm like, I don't want to read up on it too much because I don't know if you can really spoilers for real life. Yeah, spoilers for real life. But no, I'd rather just go in a bit fresh.
All right. Well, with that, let's get started on our journey here.
Yeah,
all right.
Please pray for us listeners. It's pretty icy out tonight. So.
Yeah. If you can hear this, Stephanie, I love you.
Oh, God.
It's actually not too bad. So I do know a little bit about this story. I'm not much of a wrestling fan like I was when I was like 12 or 13 and just kind of fell off with it. And this is obviously a story from the 80s, which would be before my time.
Same for me, really. Like, I was into it when I was a kid, but yeah, this was for my time.
So, did you get like WWF out in England?
Oh yeah, it was massive. Loved it when I was a kid. I was like, I don't know, it was like early 90s, I guess it would have been, when that was like the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan sort of era. I was really into it then, and I fell off it for a bit, and then I got back into it a little bit with like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And The Rock, right?
And The Rock, yeah, but not as much as I was when I was little or some of my friends. I was kind of aging out of it at that point. I was kind of like, thought it was a bit late by that point. But yeah, and then I've not really followed it since then, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was into it like pretty heavily for like the spring of like either 2000 or 2001,
right?
Which is like the heyday of The Rock,
right?
And then like I've always kind of like had an admiration for it. Like I think it's pretty cool that people are so into it, but I've just never kept up.
It's definitely impressive. I think you have to. I see people really into it, and I'm thinking, like, I can appreciate it for what it is. Like, those guys are very talented and very skillful. Like, when people get so invested into, like, oh, this guy's a heel and he's being a bad guy, and it's just like, come on now.
I don't know. I wish I could get into it, but
yeah, it's kind of like, I think it's one of those things where you just have to get fully on board with it. It's like, I always go back to when I saw Fast and Furious 5, because I was never a fan of the Fast and Furious movies because cars, not my thing. And I'm just like, I don't really care about this. It's just Point Break with cars. I don't need to see it. But then when I got to the fifth movie, I kind of was like, oh, I see what this is. It's like a parody now.
Yeah.
It went all the way over to just be like a parody of itself. And I actually quite enjoyed some of those later episodes that are just like so batshit. It's just fun. So I think you have to kind of do that with wrestling where like, look, we know.
Yeah, totally. Like
it's stupid stories and it's the same thing over and over again, but it's just fun and like look at them jiving around and doing special moves.
Yeah, it's sort of like at least 3 layers of disbelief going on.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to get on board with it. Like you can get on board with it and just not worry too much about being realistic. Well, some of the stuff they do is incredible.
Yeah, and like unbeknownst to me that we were doing this movie because we had just decided on doing this one kind of earlier this week.
Yeah, pulling back the curtain on production there.
Well, late last year, I started listening to this podcast called Behind the Bastards, and they did a series of episodes on Vince McMahon.
Oh, really?
And one of the episodes covered the Von Erich family, which I had never heard of before. So then, very recently, I've gotten like a history of what goes down here. So I feel pretty primed for this one.
Got way more information than
I did not purposely do research or anything.
No, that's good though. But yeah, so I guess we can get into that in a bit. So we should get into a bit of been doing lately. Well, what did we say we were going to hit on today? You want to talk?
Well, maybe we should touch on the feedback.
Yeah, feedback from last week. Last week now, a couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Our last episode, Aquaman and something about Kingdom.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
See, I knew exactly what the name was. I was just testing Trevor. Yeah. So you want to go back and listen to that? Really a good one. Obviously, it was Christmas time, so we posed the question: best alternate Christmas movie, right? And that's how we phrased it. It's not your classic Christmas movies, it's your best movies.
So I mean, we kind of started with the stipulation that, what are some ones that are besides Die Hard?
Okay.
But then still a lot of people kind of wrote in that Die Hard was still their answer.
Yeah, and
You gotta respect them.
other people wrote in vehemently defending that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, as you would expect. But
Yeah. Which is interesting because, like, for all the ones that are on this list, it's the most Christmas movie of all of them.
that's just it, right? People get so upset.
I
about
just,
Die Hard.
I just fundamentally don't understand the debate, like, against it.
I think it's just like the figurehead of like Christmas movies that aren't really
Yeah.
like about the Christmas spirit, I guess.
So, what in the feedback stood out to you?
Yeah, I guess it was ones that we missed, ones that we forgot to talk about.
Yeah.
I think the big one for me was I don't think we talked about Batman, right? Batman Returns.
Yeah, like, we were both kicking ourselves for
Yeah.
not including it on either of our
because
lists.
that's a great one. Because that's definitely Christmas, but it's not something you would ever even think about when you're thinking about Christmas movies. Like we didn't think of it.
Yeah, like, I love The Dark Knight, but I think that Batman Returns might be my favorite Batman movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think at the time, The Dark Knight was just like amazing, but I think in retrospect, I would agree with you. I think like there's a lot about The Dark Knight that doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
Although that is an amazing movie.
And then, yeah, saw some really interesting answers, like Lethal Weapon was one that came
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
and
that's a good one.
a lot of people had the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, there's a lot of films that I guess just networks would air at Christmas a lot just because there's nothing else to put on, I guess.
So what would be the most Christmassy of the Lord of the Rings ones?
I don't know, is the one that's like wintry?
I guess they have Fellowship, they get stuck on the mountain.
But I guess like that would be the most wintry one, but it's also the most bleak, which is not really Christmassy. I guess you'd have to say like Return of the King because it has like the positive ending, I guess. Sort of.
And there's some ghosts being resurrected, so that's like Christmas adjacent.
It's true. I'm trying to think of is the one where they open gifts at any point.
Well, that's
I mean,
Fellowship.
I guess Fellowship, he gets gifts, right? He gets his mithril armor and his sword and stuff.
Yeah.
But is it like wrapped like a present that he opens? I don't remember. I don't remember it well.
I think so.
It's wrapped up in like a parcel, right? Maybe
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something else. I'm confusing it with Grogu opening his armor in Mandalorian. They stripped it off, basically.
Well, the other one that I thought was pretty interesting is, like, a lot of people said Sound of Music.
Yes, I think I mentioned that as well. It was a big one in England when I was growing up.
Well, because you had mentioned that
Right, like you were like, "Oh, that's weird. That's it's an England thing."
yeah, in England they play Sound of Music every Christmas. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And then, I was talking to my wife, and then saw a few people on here mention that, they did that here too. You just didn't notice it.
Yeah, I guess that's just a gap in Trevor's boyhood Christmases.
Yeah. Oh, so one that my brother-in-law wrote to me was it 40 Days of Night, like the Josh Hart?
Really?
Which I thought was pretty interesting.
It's an interesting one.
I haven't really thought
Is that like set around Christmas?
well, it's set in Alaska.
Yeah, I know it's like
dead of
wait,
winter,
yeah,
right?
So it's always night.
I assume one of those nights had to have been
I
Christmas.
guess if it's 40, they just pick one of them, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is that when they has it? Like, I guess it would be winter. Would it be Christmas time when they go through that period, or is it? I don't know enough about geography to know when that time frame is.
I assume that's in like December, January, right?
I have no idea. It could be February. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's snowy and it's got vampires in it, so that's Christmas enough for me.
Nothing more Christmassy than vampires.
Vampires. Another one that came up a couple times was The Shining, which I thought was a pretty interesting answer, but
That's got the snow and stuff as well, right?
yeah, kind of adjacent to my answer of the thing of
Yeah, I
being
was just gonna
stuck
say.
inside with your family.
Yeah, stuck inside, people dying. Yeah, no, that was a good answer for sure. Yeah, there's so many, and I know that we'd mentioned, like I think I mentioned Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but then lots of people were pointing out you could basically throw a rock at any
Shane Black.
Black
Yeah.
movie. He loves Christmas time movies.
I had forgotten that Iron Man 3 was also.
Oh no, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, because I remember when they did that, it's like, oh, it's definitely a Shane Black movie. It's set at Christmas. It's good. I actually really like that movie. I know it's not people's favorites, but I'm a big fan of Iron Man 3. Did a good job. Yeah, so anything else for Christmas? I know we're into January now, so it feels a bit weird talking about Christmas movies.
Yeah, like
still.
it feels like a million years ago
I
already.
know, doesn't it?
But yeah, I guess want to move on to this week's question.
Sure. Yeah,
So-
we could definitely do that.
We're more on topic this week. So since we're seeing a wrestling movie, question is what your favorite fight scene is in a movie, or a favorite fight.
Right.
And then for this one, we were going to actually put some exclusions in the front.
Yeah, we're gonna
And that's
make sure because Like, I think we went a bit too wide with our like animation questions.
Yeah. Well, and everyone loves rules.
Exactly. Everyone loves nitpicking.
So for this one, we're saying no guns, no superpowers.
Sure, why not?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We could just talk about it. We'll see where the conversation takes us.
So
If you've got an argument for why you need a gun, then fair enough.
well, I was thinking about the no superpowers thing.
Right.
Up until like 10 minutes before I picked you up, I still had Empire Strikes Back on there, but
Well, that's it, right?
not thinking that Jedi is also kind of superpowers.
Yeah, I was wondering when you said that. It's like, well, what about superpowers, but not superheroes? I was like, who is he talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because I was like, Duel of the Fates as well is a big one for me. I was like, that's pretty sweet. So we talk about, that's more like sword fighting. That's
true.
It's got some pretty cool stuff in it.
Obi-Wan does force jump in that one to win the fight at the end. So
Yes, there's definitely a lot of
there's some magic in those things.
There's definitely magic, but that's not superpowers. It's like, oh, you know what? Who cares?
I think it's close enough that people would play it. They would riot.
Yeah, you sent the question over. I was thinking more like classic hand to hand, like kung fu style stuff.
Yeah. So why don't you? Do you have one to kick us off with?
Yeah, man. I like did research on this one, so I've got a whole list going on. But I'll just.
I had like 10 shortlisted. I cut it down to like 3.
Yeah, I'm not gonna read them all out because there's probably some overlap, but. Like, my mind immediately went to just like really well choreographed like kung fu stuff.
Okay.
And
I'm glad that because I was feeling guilty. I had one sort of answer in that,
really,
and I was like, well, I really feel like we need like some martial arts represented on here.
that's where my mind always goes because I just find that I just love that so much. It's like when it's like choreographed to an inch of its life, and it's just like it's like a dance. So I don't know if you've seen either of the Raid movies. Have you seen the Raid?
I've seen the first one. I
love the Raid movies, and I love that story because that director is like he's like from Wales.
Yeah,
He's from Wales, like Gareth Edwards. I think is that his name, or am I getting him mixed up with the other guy?
Well, yeah, Gareth Edwards is like the Godzilla.
It's a different
one guy. I can't remember this guy's name.
So I didn't do enough research, obviously. But yeah, like he just went to like Malaysia or somewhere, and I'm probably butchering that as well, getting the country wrong. Just like I'm just gonna start doing like stunt stuff. Ended up just like making movies, and they're amazing. That team that he has is insane. So yeah,
I should really see the second one. I waited a long time to see the first one, but I absolutely
the second one like just ramps everything up, man. Like some of the fights in the second one are just like insane.
Yeah, well, and there'd really be no John Wick if it wasn't for.
Well, exactly it, right?
That's such a huge influence.
Yeah, and I was umming and ahhing about putting John Wick in because I don't think he does. He does some fights.
There's some sword fights.
Yeah, because I was like John Wick, and same with like Bourne. Like they use guns, but there's lots of great fights where they're like improvising, using different objects, like kill people with pencils and books and stuff.
Well, yeah, like the pen from the first one, I think is really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think there's some like gunplay in that same fight. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's tough. And then I was also thinking about the staircase fight from 4, but I'm like, was there a gun in that scene? It was a very long sequence. There's probably at least one gun being
someone hitting someone with the butt of a gun. I don't know if that counts. There's definitely guns flying about. Yeah, but other than that though, I really like. Do you ever see Ip Man?
I've seen the first one.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those, and they're all.
And then he's in John Wick 4,
right? Yeah. What's his name? I forget.
Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen. Love Donnie Yen. I've just forgot his name. He was good in Star Wars too. We did.
Yeah, basically playing the same character in Rogue One that he is in John Wick 4.
Yeah, it's just playing. I think that's just Donnie Yen.
Yeah. Is he just blind?
Go be Donnie Yen. Yeah, he's just blind now. Yeah. Other than that, though, it's obviously Bruce Lee stuff, which like you got to mention because it's like the father of all that stuff, especially in Hollywood.
I think I've seen every Bruce Lee movie, but I always mix up the titles in my head.
Oh God, I could never remember which movie has which fight in it. Never mind the names.
The Chuck Norris fight scene at the Coliseum.
Yeah, in that one movie.
In that one movie, is that Enter the Dragon?
No, I think is that Fist of Fury?
It could be. I think it's Enter the Dragon.
Are you sure? I don't think.
I'm not sure at all.
You know what? I'm not sure either. I think you might be right.
Yeah.
But yeah. The plot. I think that's just because you're not really watching them for the plot, are you?
No, not
that they were badly plotted movies or anything, but it's like you don't remember them for the plot, I should say.
And then Quentin Tarantino did Bruce Lee so dirty Once Upon a Time.
He really did.
I made him look like a total asshole.
I don't know why he did that.
I don't know. Well, one at the top of my list was the Jackie Chan movie Legend of Drunken Master.
Yeah. My list.
Oh, do you?
Not gonna lie, yeah, Jackie Chan is one of my favorite all times.
Same for me, and I know we said no superpowers, and this one's kind of like a superpower thing. Like, I don't know if everyone has seen the movie, but basically the premise is that, you know, when he gets drunk, it unlocks this like extra level of martial arts for him, and like it's just incredible comedy mixed with action. And then what's so great about Jackie Chan is he interacts with his environment so well.
Nobody can do that like Jackie Chan can do, either like the comedy, but the skill, but making it look like he's not overly skilled. Like,
Yeah.
It looks like he's bumbling around a lot of the time, but it's so precision, so well done with the precision, and like you say, using everything in the environment. I think he was the first one who really sort of do that.
Well, because for like his big scenes, like he rehearses them for weeks at a time and then does like 100 takes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, hey, you can't really do that in American filmmaking.
He's like literally risking his life as well on some of that stuff. Like, he's had so many injuries.
What is it like? Is it Police Story 2 that he slides down that big Christmas tree and like he like got major burns all on his body?
Yeah. He almost died, I think, doing that.
I think he did. Yeah, probably multiple times he almost died.
Well, imagine like doing something like that and almost dying, and then just like, all right, let's go again.
Yeah.
You're crazy. You know, the other one that I just moving on from Jackie Chan for a sec is Bloodsport. You ever seen Bloodsport?
It was on cable all the time.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know if it's really the best, but it's just like it has such a soft spot in my heart, nostalgia wise.
That last scene where he's like,
it's so ridiculous.
He's blinded, and then yeah, it's so great, and such a great like heel in that scene too. I can't remember that villain's name, but
is that the movie where he's like just smacking the post with his shin to like prepare for the fight?
Yeah.
It's just like, come on, why are you doing that?
And like, good thing that when he trained, he blindfolded himself too. Like, who knew that would pay off?
I know, it's almost like Chekhov's blindfold.
Yeah, exactly. Then the other one I had on my list was Eastern Promises. The
The steam room one.
The steam room one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I don't know if I'd call this like a realistic fight, but it certainly like has that feel to it. Like, it's just so deliberate and
like raw,
desperate.
Almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I tried to think of some like unique, like either settings or something about them that was unique. So that's why I thought of the hallway fight from Inception.
Oh yeah,
you know, with the gravity plane. Like,
oh, that's good. Yeah,
not like the most exciting fight, but just because it's such a unique setting, and like the first seeing that, it just seems so weird to watch because you're like, how is gravity acting? These guys just seem to be getting pulled all over the place. It's like really interesting and unique way to do it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I also wanted to mention Mission Impossible Fallout.
The bathroom scene?
Yeah, Henry Cavill's reloading his arms.
Yeah.
That's just amazing to see. But I think I have the definitive answer for this one. It's the first one I thought of. I haven't said it yet, but it's
I wonder if we have the same.
I'm gonna guess we probably do, but I think the proper answer is Old Boy.
I was thinking about Old Boy, but that's not.
The hallway scene from Old Boy with the hammer is just insane.
Yeah,
insanely good.
That was the one that like I honestly first thought of when we were talking about this, and it's like such an innovative scene, and it's really like driven by the plot because up until that point in the movie, he's not sure if he's good at martial arts, and then he has to fight 12 people at once.
I just think as well, it's like that. And I might be wrong about this, but that seems to be like the first time that'd been done, or the first time I'd seen it at least, and it's been so often imitated, and never done as well. I don't think people try and do similar things, but
yeah, and I think like people have like picked that like there's not that much technique going on in that fight, but like,
but it goes back to what I was saying, like it makes it feel more like visceral and real, I think.
Well, and I just think like the directing is just like spot on. It's just so iconic, and then. Like Daredevil, the TV show.
Oh yeah, that was a really good show. I didn't pick up. Well, that's not really a movie.
but they were just kind of like.
That's a really good shout. Actually, I love that scene, and because that was like same thing, right? It's like by the end of it, they're just like, they're tired and they're not doing a very good job at this. They're just throwing themselves at each other and barely getting through.
But that does lead into my ultimate answer, which is the alley fight in They Live. David and Roddy Ryder Piper, which is great. Very applicable for today because we're seeing a wrestling movie.
There you go. I like the tie-in, man. That's some sort of segues going on.
But honestly, love that. And it goes on for so long, and there are like multiple points where they're just so exhausted that they just want to stop fighting. And what's so funny about that is there's like hardly any stakes in that fight at all. He just wants him to put on some sunglasses, and he just refuses to do it. And it just goes on forever and ever and ever. And just
That's a great show.
It's upping the ante against itself.
I hadn't thought of that at all. That is a great show.
Now, so any other honorable?
Yeah, well, I
mentions
did say that I'd pick the obvious winner with Oldboy, but I think we're forgetting a pretty famous one. I think would be the winner here. We got to go for the Happy Gilmore fight between Bob Barker and Happy.
Oh God.
Oh, that's amazing.
I know, like, yeah, if I was like 10 years old, I definitely would have picked that one.
Yeah, I was just thinking of.
I started watching
why
The
that
Price is
sticks in
Right
my
because
head.
of that scene.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Bob Barker's making new friends. Like, he's not punching anyone though.
I love that one.
That was my joke answer. That was a funny one though. Yeah, I don't really. Have you got any honourable mentions? Oh, I did make a note. RRR. If anyone hasn't seen that, that's got some insane stuff in it. Like, that's like fantasy level stuff, but like so good. It's an amazing movie.
Yeah, I have two answers from the Ridley Scott verse.
Yeah.
The actual duel from the last duel is really great, and it has that kind of that desperation and sloppiness to it.
Right.
And then there's lots of scenes from Gladiator.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
But I really love that the fight scene between Maximus and like the former champion that they bring in, and like he's fighting him and also these tigers at the same time.
Yeah, he smashes him in the toe.
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah, that's a really good one.
And then also this is James Cameron, not Ridley Scott, but adjacent, the fight between Ridley and the Alien Queen.
Oh, and that's a great show.
Yeah.
Never thought about that. No, that's iconic, right? I mean, maybe not the best choreographed fighting, but definitely
just
an iconic fight.
Such a great payoff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
What about The Matrix? Lots of fights in The Matrix.
I was really thinking about
Lots
it,
of
but
guns
then
in it, but
yeah, I like even just the fight scenes. I'm like, are they superheroes when they enter the Matrix?
Yeah,
like, would we
that's
be
fair.
bending the rules here?
like I was thinking the training that he does with Morpheus when they're in like dojo, but
Yeah.
that strays into like them using extra abilities.
So what's so great about the Wachowskis in that trilogy is they just like really choreographed every fight so well.
Yeah, that was one of the best movies that I'd ever seen in terms of fight choreography, especially.
Well, I really loved
that weren't from Asia.
In the sequel too, when they're fighting on top of the transport truck. I think is really great.
Yeah, even though those movies like dipped in quality, I don't think the fight scenes did. I think they always reduced on that front.
Well,
anything else? We're missing anything else?
Well, as we run into a train stop here.
What about boxing?
Yeah,
or wrestling. I don't know if there's any really famous wrestling movies, but we got.
Well, they have the wrestler.
There wasn't really there's many fights in that. Though.
Well, the fights are very much like you can see the strings, basically, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if like it has the best choreography, but certainly felt very real. They have like that handheld camera feel to them.
Oh yeah. But like Rocky and
yeah, did you folks hear the train sound? You're really immersed in it now.
like real special effects here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rocky and even Creed, like the choreographed fights in the Creed are amazing.
I think my favorite Rocky fight is from Rocky 3 with Mr. T.
Yeah.
Where I think the fight only lasts 3 rounds, so they basically show every second of it where you can really see his strategy pay off.
Yeah. They really worked hard on those movies because it's like those fights had to be perfect. The whole payoff for every movie, right?
And like there's no defense really in most of the fights. Like they're all just like two guys just slugging.
It's like what you wish boxing was.
Yeah.
It's like actual people just smashing each other until one's done.
And then I love the fight in Raging Bull between LaMotta and I think it's Sugar Ray, where he just kind of has to hold up the rope so that he doesn't fall down, and then he just gets absolutely slaughtered. And they don't really show all that much in the fight, but just like the way that it's edited together and meshed with the flashes of the cameras, it's just really great. Kind of shows there's so many ways to approach a fight scene, right? Like you can have like a really technical fight like from Jackie Chan, or you can have a cinematic one like in Raging Bull.
Yeah, there's definitely a wide spectrum of you talking about fight scenes. And as we said, we've not even got into the realm of superheroes and Star Wars and sci-fi stuff.
Another day.
Yeah, another day. There's lots of good fights from some of those movies. Definitely.
All right, so I guess that's enough for us. We ended up listening to a lot of movies, but
We got into it. But
did we miss any of your favorites? Let us know. You can hit us up on all our socials or on Gmail at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. yeah, let us know what your favorite fight scene is. Try not to include guns or superpowers, but you can bend the rules a little bit like we did in a few instances there. There you go.
Yeah, I want to hear from you guys. Check Reddit. Reddit's where we get some good action, man. Just search for us on Reddit, you'll find us. No problem.
All right, so is it time for our game?
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm done for that.
Okay, so
I haven't prepared anything, so I hope you have.
I thought we would do like we each go every
Yeah, take turns. Yeah, I did last time, right? Okay, perfect. I got to redeem myself somehow here.
Yeah, so this would be the third iteration of our game. I stumped Pete the first time, and then I got it on 3 last time, but I think you should be able to get this one.
Okay, give me a softball.
Okay, so the first movie on the list.
Okay.
Oh, wait, maybe we should explain how the game works to someone who might be listening.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea, right? Every podcast is someone's first podcast.
So, so how the game works, it's like, I guess, the actor game. I'm going to list 5 movies, and Pete has 5 chances to guess the actor. Styled like the answers will be less obvious at first, getting gradually more obvious as we go along. And yeah, Pete gets 1 guess per movie hint.
Hey, I'm ready.
Okay. First movie is Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Oh, okay. Shit. Now I'm like second guessing myself because I feel like I'm thinking who's in that movie, but not the others. But that's not necessarily the case.
And maybe I just did that to mess with
I
you.
know I knew I'd do that. It's in all of them, but who cares? I don't even know who's in the third one. I'm going to lose some of my Lord of the Ring knowledge.
Well, you're not the biggest Lord of the Rings guy.
Yeah, I'm not going to go for Andy Serkis again.
Well, that would be such a jerk move. I'm going to just pick Andy Serkis twice. Okay, I'll give you that one. It's not Andy Serkis. Okay. You remembered his name, though?
I did.
Oh.
It's funny, I was talking to someone today and they asked me about that. We were talking about that. I needed to remember his name again. And I was like, this happened to me a few weeks ago and it was embarrassing.
Just get his name like tattooed on your hand.
All right, let's get going. Let me just pick someone. I'm going to go for someone even though I don't even know if he's in the movie. I'm going to say Hugo Weaving.
It's not Hugo Weaving.
Is he in the third one?
Yeah, I think for a little bit. Mostly just in the first one, but I think he is in all 3 at some
I'm
point.
sure he just pops up. Oh, yeah, because isn't that with him at the end when they go off in their little boat? Anyway,
Yes, he is. Yeah,
him now, right?
not Hugo Weaving. Good guess. Okay. Oh yeah, sure. You're
What are you waiting for? You want me to give you the next clue?
waiting on me. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I was waiting for.
We're doing a video podcast just to show us like side-eyeing each other in the car. Like, what are you going to say something?
Come on, this is an audio medium. What are you doing? All right, number 2 is The Monuments Men.
Oh, I never saw that. But
If I could spoil it for you, it's not very good.
no, and I think that's why I never saw it. But I think I can remember who was in it. Because I think I was like older actors, right? Not to give me any clues, but who was? Well, let me just go back to Lord of the Rings here. Let me think. No, I'm just going to take a pass on that. I'm not going to get that. It's not helping me.
Okay, well, maybe you'll get some help with this next one. Ocean's 8.
Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett.
Nice.
There you go. Good work.
Nice.
All right, so what bit of click there for you?
I was trying to think. I thought it might be that with Lord of the Rings. That would have been my next guess in Lord of the Rings, but then for some reason I just didn't guess on the second one because I didn't know. I didn't put it together with Monuments Men. Like there wouldn't be any women in a movie called Men.
Yeah, I think like she's the one woman I can remember from that movie.
Right.
And yeah, like she's one of my favorite actors all time.
It's funny, I've been watching, I know we've not really got into what we've been watching this week, but I've been watching What If, Marvel's What If.
Okay.
And they brought her back as Hela for a few episodes, and she was really great.
So I could tell you my number 4 was going to be Thor Ragnarok.
Was it?
Yeah, so you would have got it for sure.
We got it there, yeah.
And then number 5 was Elizabeth.
Nice.
Which even if you haven't seen it, like, yeah, I'm sure you know that, you know.
Yeah, well, if I hadn't got that one, I would have just
You
never podcasted again.
Well, you could never go home again.
No, you would never. You would just be like, get out.
No, so you got your redemption. How do you feel?
Pretty good. I feel like I should have got it in 2, but I think baby steps, right?
Well, if you haven't seen Monuments Men, and yeah, there are mostly old people in there.
Yeah.
It's Bill Murray and John Goodman. not being funny in a movie.
Yeah, like I don't know how you.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's one I'm going to rush to see.
Yeah, not after my Rain
You have not
Man
seen it by now, and that
Well,
review is not going to help.
Even Kate Blanchett's not good in it, and that's like
That's
the one
the thing.
example I
She's
can
great in everything.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Even terrible movies, she's good in.
All right, so yeah, should we talk about
Yeah, should we get into
the Iron Claw?
The Iron Claw.
Right, so going into it, like you know who's in it,
I don't know Zac Efron,
and
because I know he
Jeremy Allen White.
he went massive hit for this movie
Yeah, what do you think about Zac Efron?
as an actor in general. I think he's better than people would think, if that makes sense. Maybe better than I give him credit for. I think he's done some good stuff. I just feel like he's never really had the opportunity to really get into a part. Not that there's nothing that I've seen either. I think this might be, hoping this is one where it's like, oh, like he's a good actor.
Yeah, like it seems like the last 2 or 3 years he's started to think about making that turn, like
Away from like, oh, he's just a heartthrob or he looks pretty or whatever.
yeah, like follow the path laid by Robert Pattinson or Leonardo DiCaprio, like try to get some respectability.
Exactly.
The thing I liked about Zac Efron is that he always seemed to kind of have a self-awareness about himself. Like he always seemed to be making fun of himself a little bit.
Yeah, it's good
Like
comedy.
I haven't seen any of the High School Musical movies. I assume once my daughter gets older, I'll probably have to live through them.
Oh yeah, good luck with that.
But like one of his earliest roles was in Hairspray, and like
Okay.
his character's like kind of like making fun of himself in that one,
right.
and in Neighbors, like he's
good
often
in
the butt of the joke, and he's very funny. Like he's got some good comedic chops.
I definitely agree with that. He was for sure. I never saw the Baywatch movie he did with The Rock. Did you see that?
No, I skipped that
Yeah, I
one.
heard that wasn't.
Did that make money? That one?
I don't think so. I don't think it did well at all.
Yeah. Wasn't that like he seems pretty perfectly cast for that?
Yeah, I thought the trailer looked pretty good, and like I just think they missed a boat on like people don't care about Baywatch anymore. Like, I don't think anyone needs to see that.
One, it also sort of came at the tail end of like people stopped going to the theater for comedies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because that sort of thing, like I'm sure a billion people watched it on Netflix, but like
Right. Yeah, you're probably right. But yeah, like I've never met anybody who's like Baywatch. That's a good movie. Like, you should see it. Like, never heard those words before.
Or talk to somebody like, hey, what show are you going through right now? Oh, I'm going through old Baywatch episode.
Right, exactly. Especially not these days. Yep. No, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing him in a ton of stuff, but like, I mean, like you can tell he's definitely got chops. He's yeah, you say his comedy time is really good, but I feel like he's got like a real role in him, if that makes sense.
A real what?
A
Sorry.
real role, like
Yeah.
like he could really get into a role and really do a good job.
Yeah, well, apparently he was pretty good as Ted Bundy in that Netflix movie a couple of years ago. But I didn't see it. I felt like I was irked about watching it.
Yeah, I'm not really a true crime guy. I even like the documentary style ones. I don't like it, so it just makes me depressed.
Yeah.
So I stay clear of that stuff usually. But no, I'm excited for this one. I know we talked about it already, about our history of wrestling, but I feel like some of the stuff those guys did back in the day was pretty insane and ruthless.
Well, it's just like really sacrificing your body.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's dangerous today,
Exactly.
but like back then it was really just like
It's literally like if it goes type stuff.
and like even like stuff like steroid, which now like
Drug abuse,
there's
all that kind of stuff.
there's a bit of a science behind it, so like it's still not a good idea, but like you can do it safely. Like there's paths that you can take. In the early 80s, like it's all just a bunch of guesswork.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so and I'm really interested. Like it's A24, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like they typically do movies that you want to see.
Yeah, no, like I think probably the most consistent studio out there.
Yeah, yeah, and really quite a range of stuff that they do. Even not all the movies they've done so far, and like the ones that I knew and I remember, is like, yeah, okay, you know they're different.
Well, and actually that A24 makes me think we missed something in our fight talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Exactly. So we did miss that
I should have mentioned that one because like
stuff.
the staircase fight at the end is one of my favorite favorite things. Like, don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's just a very different take on what a fight could be. Although we're getting the superpower stuff there too.
True. But I mean, have you not mentioned a dildo fight?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's got stuff in it that you've never seen before for sure.
Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention was the Mad Max fight from Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh, nice.
Like actually in the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Kicking myself if I had forgotten that one.
Let's do a whole podcast on fight scenes.
As I was going through like potential lists, it just made me realize that I just really like seeing people beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, I think it's like tales all this time. I think it's part of human nature. Just like to see people besting each other in combat.
Yeah, I had looked up the director, someone that I was not familiar with. This is his third movie. I hadn't seen his previous two, and now wrote it in our notes, but the name's escaping me now, and I hadn't seen his two other previous projects. And I think he did some TV work. Dead Ringers was the one that I had heard of.
Okay.
But no, so like this is pretty much as going in blind as they can get.
I have heard though there's had a lot of positive buzz around it.
Yeah, like people are kind of pushing for Efron as a dark horse to get an acting nom, which would be very interesting to see if it could actually happen.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's a very crowded Oscar year, so
Yes, it's very
probably not likely that it can get in, though, like, you know, they could surprise us. A24 is very good at campaigning. So.
Yes, exactly. If you were trying to get an Oscar doing a movie for them, it's not just plan.
Pulling into a spot now, this parking lot is deserted.
Yeah, we might be the only ones here for this movie.
Pete booked our tickets earlier. We were only ones in the theater. But though the movie was made pretty cheaply, like I think it was like $14 million, and they're already...
When was this actually released? This is like...
I think it was released Christmas Day, so we're seeing it just about a week later.
For a bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of it too. Yeah, well, stay tuned to hear what we think of it.
Yeah, there'll be a spoiler-free quick review when we get back, and then we'll also tell you when a good time to pee is before diving into spoilers.
Yeah, do we know how long is this movie?
I don't know.
Hope it's not like 3 hours.
Because it's pretty late. It's already 9:30.
That's okay. If it is, it is. I don't mind a long movie.
I think it might be 2 hours 10.
That's the time the pee breaks better.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, talk to you soon, folks.
Yeah. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back, everybody. We just came out after seeing The Iron Claw.
Yeah, and winter has arrived as we
Yes,
came out into the parking lot.
a slight layer of ice on the vehicle as we come out, so
We're going to take it nice and easy.
yeah, this might be an extended episode as we hit the back roads.
Well, I was saying to Pete, I do have winter tires on my car. So.
I was thankful to hear that.
Yeah.
So who went first last time? First impressions of The Iron Claw. I think you went first last time, right? I can't remember actually.
I can't remember. Yeah, whatever you want. I can go first.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, I thought it was fairly good overall. I think there were a couple of moments that I thought, you know, it might have been cut together in not the best way. Maybe that they could have done a couple extra takes with the actors and stuff. Like some scenes didn't quite land the way that I thought they should. But overall, I thought it was, you know, pretty solid biopic. How about you, Pete?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it actually. Yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah, I hear what you're saying about some of it. Like there were certain things where you kind of thinking this should be more impactful, and I can't really put my finger on what it was. But like you say, whether it was like just a performance thing or whether it was just. Honestly, I think it got to be a bit too much.
Yeah,
like without getting into spoiler too much, it was just kind of a bit like
there is some
felt a bit piled on.
Yeah, there is some tragedy in the movie, and there's some like multiple tragedies.
Yes.
And I'm kind of thinking of like the first scene where they break some bad news.
Yeah.
Like that should have been just like a deer in the headlights moment, and it's kind of.
They did breeze past it pretty
Yeah,
quick.
it's kind of delivered like.
I felt a bit like that was a bit deliberate though. I think they were so like to me it was very much like everything was sort of under the surface in the movie. Like it wasn't really like overtly showing you stuff. I was expecting to see more of that, but
yeah,
I think it was like purposely done, and I think it kind of worked well in some parts. But I think it, like you say, there's certain scenes where you're just like, oh, I needed a bit more from that.
Yeah, well, and I don't want to be too critical because I think it's probably very difficult to tell a story like this, like just from a pacing perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pace a movie like this, like because it sounds like on paper it would make for a great film, right? But then you have to sit down and say like, well, like there are 4 or 5 moments in here that are like would be the darkest moment of a regular film, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that without it being completely overbearing?
It's kind of weird when that happens, because it does happen in some where it's like the real life story is just so like tragic. It's like almost unbelievably so.
Yeah.
And when you try and put it on film, it's like, oh, that almost seems like unrealistic, even though it's actually really happened.
Yeah. Well, like if you were a screenwriter and like
you wouldn't get you would be like, come on, that's too much.
Yeah, you have to amalgamate some of these characters together.
It's like we don't need that.
Yeah.
I mean, should we get into spoilers then? Because I feel like we're tiptoeing around it there.
Well, it's tough because it's like it's a real life story.
Yeah, spoilers. I know we said spoilers for real life.
Well, maybe I'll give my key report. I found this like a very difficult movie to find a good clean break.
Yeah,
it really just true. Drives forward, and like even the quiet moments are all kind of key character moments.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I was like an hour and a half in, I was thinking I could use a bathroom break.
Yeah.
but to your point, I didn't think there was a real moment where it was like, oh, this is a quiet bit, I'll just go to the bathroom. It was like, no, something else is big's gonna happen.
So I recommend an hour and 20 into the movie.
Right.
There's a scene where a baby's crying, and that made me uncomfortable. So I'd say go then. I always feel uncomfortable when you see like actual baby crying on set, because like probably like that baby was probably really miserable. They probably did like 10 takes of that. Like go to the bathroom at that point.
Yeah. I think they're pretty good. I don't think they mistreat the babies, Trevor. I wouldn't be too upset about it.
Maybe there was like a quadruplet, and like his like brothers got like a few goes at it.
Yeah, they have pretty strict laws around that kind of thing, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. It's still a baby crying, and they're filming it.
I think just because you have a baby crying at home, I think it colors your opinion. Yeah, so that was a good shout, though. I think. Because even when you went to the bathroom, I was like, I think it's missed. Missed a pretty important bit here.
I shouldn't have gone, but I had to go.
Sometimes it wasn't a hugely important thing, but it's like, it's definitely a plot point that you need to know about.
I know. I need to find my own podcast where people tell me they want to go pee.
Yeah, we could just like start stealing people's pee reports.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else you want to say before we go into spoiler territory?
No, I guess we could quickly talk about Zac Efron's performance, because I know we said that he's getting buzz. I feel like I thought he did a really good job, but I feel like it was just missing, like like those 1 or 2 big like showpiece like scenes where it's like, oh, they're gonna show that at the Oscars in the reel. Yeah, like there were a couple moments that you could tell that that's sort of what they were going for. Like I said, I don't know if it was maybe the budget constraint, like they couldn't do as many takes as they want to, but I don't think they quite captured the moment. And I feel as well, I think even just the way he was playing it, I think he was playing it like all under the surface, right? Like it was like the character's trying not to show emotions. So if you're trying, that's really hard to act. I think he did a great job of doing that, but at the same time, that can also just look like someone sat there doing nothing.
Yeah. No, that's
tricky.
Like
tricky one to tread.
I think he did do quite a good job, but it's not quite the showy performance that you think would garner a lot of attention.
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 scenes where it could have been like big scenes that you're like, oh, that's the one. But it didn't quite get there, I don't think.
But what do you think about the supporting cast? Is there any standouts?
Yeah, I thought I feel like they just got like really solid actors, and they all just put in solid performances, I think.
Yeah.
Like all the brothers, I thought some were better than others. That guy, he was in The Bear, right? He's in
Jeremy
The Bear,
Allen,
and he's in, what's it called, that show?
Shameless?
About Shameless, yes. Yeah, he seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah, good for him.
He's a decent actor.
Yeah. And the dad was pretty much perfectly cast.
Yeah, he was perfect.
Was that him in that opening scene, too?
You know what? I think it might have been. Maybe not, though. It was a great cast if it was.
Yeah, if it was him in that opening scene, man, good for him.
His younger brother.
Yeah.
I thought Lily James was good.
Yeah.
I felt like she kind of got sidelined later on in the movie, which I guess is understandable. But
yeah, their relationship was really kind of front and center, but then
then
like,
it kind of
there's just so much stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's like,
but yeah, she's always great.
Yeah, she's always good.
that it was maybe missing a couple of character beats between the two of them.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, when you got so many characters and so much to cover, some stuff gets shortchanged.
All right, so maybe we can go into spoiler territory. So if
you want to wait, then now be the time.
If you already know the story of the Von Erichs, which, like, if you're a wrestling fan, you probably do, so you probably keep listening, but just, spoiler warning from this point on.
Yeah, all right. So I'm interested because I feel like you said before that you know the story, you know a bit more about the story.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested to see, from your point of view, knowing the story, if there was stuff that got left out or was not quite accurate, because I felt like it probably could have used it more. Oh, just because this happened in real life, maybe we could change this a bit.
Well, like I shouldn't tout my knowledge of it too much. Like, it was one podcast
I listened to. It's just
so I know that like 4 of the 5 brothers died going into it, and I know like that 2 of them were through suicide.
Well, because I thought I read somewhere that there was actually a sixth brother. I think that's like the only thing I saw that they didn't include in the movie.
There was a 6th brother?
Yeah, that also died.
Really?
I might have got that wrong, but I swear I saw that the one article I quickly skimmed.
Oh man. Like, at that point, like, just include that brother too.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I was saying, like, it seemed like there was just too many. It was like, okay, we don't need all 4 of these brothers to die. But I mean, that was the point of the story. But I mean, could you have done the same thing and just had 3 brothers instead of 5?
I guess so. Well, I did hear that Kevin, who's the surviving brother, had like a consulting role on in the movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so, like, I think the movie was done with his blessing. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it'd be kind of crazy that he would just like be fine with writing off a brother, but I don't know.
Well,
like,
maybe I got it wrong, but I'm sure I read that.
I can't say for sure because, like I said, like I kind of just have got the elevator pitch of their overall story.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying about what I was meaning before when I said that sometimes like having to stick to what happened in real life makes the movie not work as well, if that makes a bit of sense. Because like I think you could have made that movie 3 brothers, one of them died tragically, one of them killed themselves.
Yeah,
get the exact same effect, but then have it not seem like, oh, another one's dead. It sounds really harsh, but there was that scene in the movie where the phone rang and we both looked at each other and was like, he's dead.
Oh,
it was just like,
well, that was...
phone rings in the night, he's dead.
Yeah, of course.
Which is harsh to say, but like you get desensitized to it when it's like again and again.
That being said, like I feel like each brother has like such an important part in the story. Like you have David, who is like the electrifying personality and who he kind of like leapfrogs over Kevin because he just like demands the camera's attention.
Right.
And then he kind of just dies in this freak but preventable accidents.
That was the one they glossed over way too quickly, I think.
Well, yeah, that's the scene I was talking about when he comes home and he's like, "Dad, what's wrong?" And he's like, "David died. David died in Japan from his intestine." He's like,
then there was a really abrupt cut after that, right? And then it kind of just moved on.
Yeah, I feel like maybe
there was like a longer scene or more that got cut from that because it's like we can't dwell on this because we've got to get to the next death.
Well, but that's what I mean. Like I think the actors did a great job, and like you're not going to nail it on every take, but like the director should have seen that they didn't have it there.
That's what I'm saying. I think it must have been deliberate, but I think if it was deliberate, it was the wrong choice to make.
Oh,
because it was the first one. I think it should have been probably the most impactful, and then the others kind of just pile on top of that, right? But it seemed like that was like, oh, we'll just get through that one because the others are going to be impactful as well.
Yeah.
Because to be fair, they pretty much were like, oh yeah, we had another brother that died, and then they sort of skipped past that pretty quick.
Well, yeah, at a certain point, like it just becomes like a bit of a comedy, like it just keeps happening.
Desensitization. That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, so now basically 5. Well, no, because there was the
5th one who died as a little kid.
So like 4 brothers all died.
Yeah. No,
one of them lost his foot.
But the one point when Lily James, I think Pam's her name.
Yeah.
She's asking Kevin, like, are you coming home? And he says, like, I don't want you or the kids to catch it. You can totally believe that because, like, I would think I was cursed.
Exactly.
At that point.
He's just broken man at that point.
Yeah. No, and then I was going back to my point about how, like, even though, like, 4 deaths seems, like, pretty heavy, but then, like, I guess, like, 3, really.
Yeah.
But, like, they all kind of they do like serve an important purpose, like for Carrie, who ends up getting injured, and then what was the youngest brother's name again?
Oh,
Mike.
Can't remember what it was.
I think it was Mike.
Mikey, they call him.
Yeah, like he had like that interest in music, but then was there a scene missing there when I went to the bathroom where the dad talks to Mike and says, "You got to get to the ring"?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, like, because that was a pretty big turnaround.
Yeah,
like,
that's what you.
So how
I
did
think
that?
that's what you missed. He literally just said to him, like, "You've got to like."
It must have been quick. I wasn't gone
Yeah,
very
it left.
long.
It literally was just like, "All right, now he's gone. You've got to get involved." That was it.
And so how did Mike react to that?
He's just like, "Yeah, okay." Like, it's like
Yeah.
every scene with them and the dad, they're just like, "Yes, sir."
Yeah. Well, that needed a little bit more room to breathe, then. So I could at least have caught it on the way back from the bathroom.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like the whole movie was basically just about like toxic masculinity, basically, right? The father and the boys, which I did find quite interesting.
No, it was definitely an interesting dynamic. They almost didn't address it head on enough.
Yeah, it was weird because when it ended and there was that scene with him and his boys and he's like finally breaks down for the first time in the entire movie where he lets himself be vulnerable, I felt like that was a really good scene and it did get me. Like I was getting choked up. But then at the same time I was like, I don't know if this is actually deserved though. I feel like I see what they were doing and they were trying to build to this and the whole movie has been holding it inside. But I think they could have done they could have lead into that even a bit more. I think at the end it just seemed like to me, like even though it got me, I felt like this is a bit Hallmarky with like the pan up into the trees and he playing ball with his kids. I was like, I'm glad it's a happy ending.
It was a little like, and I think like Efron crying in the grass, like it needed to be framed a little better.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And like it's always tough with kid actors too.
Yeah,
like,
they kind of suck.
They weren't giving him the best stuff to work with. But then like maybe that was a pretty accurate portrayal of Fritz von Erich in that he was like, kind of more of like a subtle monster as opposed to like a really imposing guy, like because he wasn't just like a cartoon, right?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was going to end up being like more abusive, like overtly abusive, like with physical violence and stuff. But it was none of that. It was just like, no, this is how we do. We're real men. We're the strongest.
They just bought into it a little bit too, but I guess like they're spoon fed that from when they were born.
Yeah,
right.
So, that's all they know.
But I feel like you maybe need like one scene where like after David dies and like one of them starts tearing up, like he smacks him and says like men don't cry, like. You just need a little bit more of that.
I know exactly what you're saying.
But then maybe that's going to what you were saying before, that they were adhering a little bit too close to what was in real life, then didn't want to
especially if he's like a consultant on the movie, maybe he's like, I don't want to start saying that my dad was whooping us when he wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that happens a lot, right? It's like, oh no, he's a really loving father. He was just super like that way.
Yeah.
It's like, no, men are men, don't cry.
Yeah, and
be strong.
At certain points in the movie, like it wants you to like him too, right?
Oh yeah.
Like at the wedding scene with Kevin and Pam, like it goes to the parents and like they're like getting frisky with each other, right? Like so it's
love.
So it's cute. So it's like it's hard to hate them completely.
Yeah. I got a question for you, just to shift gears a bit. What was your thoughts on the dead Ghost Brothers scene?
I wanted to love that scene.
I know exactly what you mean.
But like, I feel like it needed to be directed a little bit better. I feel like I'm being a little mean to the director here.
Well, I'll stick up for a bit because I agree with you on some of the performances stuff, but I thought some of the shot compositions that they did and some of the stylistic choices that he made, I really, really liked. There was a lot of like I really liked the shot where it was just like him just out of focus and he was just doing the rope jumps, like going up in between the ropes.
Yeah.
And there was quite a few like really nice one-ers that I think were really well composed. So I think maybe he was like really into that aspect of it versus more like working with the actors.
Well, say the fight scene that Kevin has with the reigning champ early on. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like the behemoth of a man. I thought
with the big gut.
It's like Race Biggs or something like that.
I don't remember.
But like when they're first showing him on TV, I thought, oh, this is a former wrestler who's now doing like a car commercial or something. I'm like, oh no, this is the current. It's
NCW funny because like that's kind of what wrestlers were like a lot of the time. And then you see like Zac Efron, he was like a monster in that movie. Man, he was big.
Yeah. But then, anyways, I thought that whole fight was really well done, especially when Kevin gets thrown out of the ring, and he gets like, is that a suplex? Do you know the moves?
Yeah, sure.
Like he basically gets
Yeah,
just gets
suplex
the
him. Yeah, it was
absolute
suplex right
like
onto the cement.
wind knocked out of him.
Oh
Like
man.
the cement, like he can't move. And then you can tell the ref doesn't want to start counting, and then he's eventually just forced to start counting.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be like, oh, he's done something serious because, like,
Yeah, I thought
he was really in pain.
I thought his back was broken.
Yeah, I was like, he's not getting up after that.
Yeah, but no, I thought that whole scene was very well done. So like all the wrestling stuff was really quite good.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
they did a good job of like they showed you like that like stuff was pre-planned and stuff, and that they're like working into each other's moves, but they're also still showing the punishment that goes with them.
I thought they did a really good job of that actually. Yeah,
but yeah, getting to the brother scene where like he carries Carrie onto the table.
Oh yes.
And then Carrie's kind of going into the afterlife and stuff with his brothers. Like, I really wanted that to work, and it almost got me when it showed the littlest brother.
Oh god,
it almost
the little
me.
kid in there.
But I don't know, like,
yeah,
the score wasn't really kicking in for that moment either.
No.
Like, it was completely
when it first happened, I was like, wonder how far they're going to go with this. Are they just going to show like, oh, there he is, going to a blurred outline of his brothers, and then that'll be it. And then like, nope, they're actually going for it. They're having a conversation. They're hugging. Like,
yeah.
And then I was like, this is kind of odd. And then when it cut away from that back to Zac Efron's character at the table with him, I was like, oh, like maybe they were trying to say that's what he's imagining is happening now.
I think that's what they were doing, yeah.
So then I was like, that makes more sense rather than like, oh, look at the ghosts in the afterlife.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's just imagining his brothers all happy, which...
Yeah. I just feel like he could have imagined a score going on in the background.
He could have imagined it more impactfully.
Well, they said in there that camera angles don't matter.
That's very true. Better commentary on it.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I kind of agree with you. I feel like I was really impressed with some of the compositions he did, but then whenever it was just like a scene of people talking to each other, it was kind of just like nothing really going on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's sort of the weak point is those like the dialogue scenes could have been better, and like got a really good cast of actors. So
oh yeah,
it really shouldn't be something that we're nitpicking on.
Very true. Very true.
But yeah, like everything in the ring was really quite good.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about fight scenes. To me,
yeah, there's lots to choose from there.
It was some of it was very obviously like fake, but that's the whole point because it was wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's like worked quite well, I think.
Also, in his fight with Ric Flair, who like I kind of want to like, go and watch some YouTube clips of that guy. He seems great.
You don't know Ric Flair?
Not really.
Oh,
no.
Ric
I don't
Flair.
know my wrestling history.
Yeah,
that
Nature
well.
Boy. Woo! Yeah, he was still going. Like I think he was still going in like the early 2000s.
In the early 2000s.
Yeah, he was like an old man, just still rocking the feather coats and.
Okay, well, he seems familiar. Like,
yeah, he was a big personality. I actually did see a headline. The portrayal of Ric Flair in the movie has been pretty divisive with wrestlers and people in the wrestling industry. And people think they did him a bit dirty.
How so? Like,
I didn't get into it reading it, but I guess they just made him out to be. I don't know because it seemed that's pretty much probably what he was like.
Yeah. So like because Ric Flair was coming.
Maybe they
like,
thought he was being a bit disrespectful about the family because he was giving them a bunch of shit right after one of them just died.
I guess. Well, I feel like he was skating like a good line in dialogue.
He's got to be the heel of the wrestler, right?
Yeah, but no, because like the fight was in Dallas, then Kevin was supposed to win that fight, right?
Yeah,
because usually that's how they did it for the home turf stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I find that whole thing very confusing, in that. At the time in the 80s, you have like the WWF hasn't completely taken over.
Yeah, I have no idea how all that stuff
and you
works.
have a bunch of like different regional areas, but like one championship.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, how do you...
The World Championship.
How do you possibly determine like who's going to take home the championship? And like, once, say Kerry Von Erich had held the title for a long time, how do you convince them to give it up? Like, I don't know how that would possibly work. Like, is there some kind of consortium there that talks?
Yeah, I think it's like what he was trying to say. It's just like you work for a company, they decide who gets hired and who gets promoted above other people. So I think it's just like one of them. It's just like,
but it's a bunch of different.
Had your time.
It's a bunch of different competing companies, right?
I think it's just one that has control over like the world title, right? And then all the others are just like coming to the table. That's what he said. Like, I'm gonna go speak to him and see if they'll give us a shot because. I imagine there's like a upper echelon of guys who just control everything, and everyone else is kind of just comes to them.
I thought how it worked is like they like each kind of wrestling company had their own territory, but they all kind of paid into like a greater organization.
Yeah.
And so like the organization's kind of like the made of those smaller pieces, and then
right.
there's like a championship.
There's got to be someone in charge, though, right? Making the
that's what I mean. Like, there's someone in charge of like that consortium,
right? Yeah.
And then they get to decide, Texas is kind of due to have a champion. So let's put him down there. This guy's got some heat. Let's move him over there.
Yeah, I guess you've just got no say in it when you're a wrestler, right? You just you do what you're told. You might not like it, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because I think that's happened, right, in the past in wrestling. People go against what was supposed to have happened and no, I'm just going to actually win this match, even though you said I was lose. And then, but then they just get shit canned, right? And then that's your whole career done if you go against what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
So what you do, throw your whole career down the drain just because you don't want to lose your belt.
Well, and they didn't really say for sure. Like, it sounded like Kevin kept wrestling somewhat, but his trajectory was over once in the Ric Flair match.
They did quite a bit of a time jump there.
Yeah, because a lot of the action in the movie happens between his wedding, where we know that she's already pregnant, and before his baby turns 1, essentially, right?
Yeah. And all of a sudden they're he's got 2 kids who I don't know seem to be almost 10 years old.
Well, they're both going to school, right? And then Kerry is wrestling in the WWF now, which the last time we saw him, it didn't look like he was ever going to wrestle again.
No. Yeah, did he actually lose his foot in real life?
Well, that's what it looked like. I don't think they would make that up, though, right?
That's what I mean, because I felt like that seemed like it seemed a bit oh, look how bad this is. He's actually missing a foot, and look, we're going to show you this missing foot. And I was like, did you really need that? You could have just had an injury.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure that that's actually what happened.
Right? Yeah, I guess just be interested to know if it actually did. Because how'd you go back to wrestling with a fake foot? That seems crazy.
I don't know. It seems incredible, right? Like that, and it seemed like he had some success doing that.
I guess it wasn't very long lived, though.
One, it seemed like it was fueled by opiates.
Stuff, right?
No, so
I guess you can do a lot when you're jacked up on the stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I actually, before we just move off that topic, I was expecting more of that in the movie.
Good point. Yeah,
they didn't. They showed I think there was one scene showing them shooting up, and then it was just we're not even going to mention this again.
Yeah, it was kind of just handled in a montage. It didn't really show much on either the painkillers or steroid use very much, but
or even the negative effects of that. I thought it was going to be big about that, right? Especially if you're talking about 2 suicides, and they didn't really get into how steroids could fuck you up or anything like that. It was just more how your dad can mess you up versus how drugs can.
Yeah, and it didn't really get into they have long-term pain management.
No. Yeah,
aside from the very end where he says I'm in pain all the time, but they hadn't really been alluding much to.
Yeah, you remember the rest. We've not really talked about the movie The Wrestler, which I guess would be the closest comparison to that stuff. And that movie did a really good job of showing a broken person. I guess because he actually is a broken person.
Well, Mickey Rourke is so great.
Oh yeah, that you could tell that guy was in pain and had been through the ringer.
Yeah,
Zac Efron just looked like he was just chilling.
Well, it didn't, because Zac Efron's body in that movie was 100% assisted by steroids.
Oh man, you don't get that big just for lifting a few weights.
But did they ever show him using steroids in the movie? I don't think it did.
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't really. That's what I mean. They showed it in the montage, but they didn't really focus on who that was supposed to be. I think the assumption was it was just all of them.
Yeah. Well, but the thematic stuff is still all there. If they decide to go that route, he has to get bigger because that's what his dad wanted him to do, right? Yeah,
there was definitely things that they didn't really lean into that I was expecting them to. And again, I think they wanted to keep the focus on the psychological effects of having parents like that. Just I like the nice way that they sort of mirrored that right at the beginning when his mother says to him that's for you and your brother to sort out. Yeah, and his dad says it to him at the end, just before he kills himself.
Yeah,
I liked that. I thought that was quite a nice little callback there, just showing that that's been their whole lives. Their parents have basically fucked them over their whole lives, and it's caused all their problems.
Yeah, it's up to you guys. Well, that's just the whole
self-determinism things. That's just such like bullshit that like you can't show any kind of weakness. You can't ever ask for help.
Yeah, it does a great job of showing bad sides of that. I guess you could say it's a pretty woke movie in that sense. It's gone woke. No, yeah, I was more up on it, I think, than you were, but I think you've turned me around a bit. Because I was thinking of like, the scene where he finds Kerry and he's dead.
Yeah.
And then he does that altercation with his father and he's like choking him out.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't hit that hard, I don't think.
It should have hit hard.
I was like, whatever, he's not going to kill his dad. And then, like, you just like, that should have been like his whole life of his held back emotions spilling out onto his dad. And it was just like, I'm going to choke for a bit and then that'll be it.
Yeah, it felt a little too routine.
Yeah, now you mention it, I think it might have been the score. I don't think helped the movie at all. I don't remember score in that movie.
Yeah, no, I feel like it didn't really have much of one, right?
No.
Like it feels like those scenes really needed to have assistance there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, I don't mean to sound so down on the movie. Like, I'd say it's like, it's a solid movie.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I feel like it could have really reached higher heights.
Yeah,
with
it had all the ingredients, right?
And the cast, and I feel like they, like, the DP, whoever they had in it, like, obviously he or she, had like good ideas on compositions and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I kind of just felt like there are a lot of scenes that were missed opportunities.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But yeah, I think I'm more up on it than you. But yeah, I can't argue with any of your points. To be fair, like I'd say, it's a pretty. It's like like what we say.
Solid.
I always forget. Yeah, it's like I think it's a 4 out of 6.5 for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah, like I wouldn't be rushing out to see it again, and I'd be pretty surprised if he gets a nomination for that.
I don't think so, like, especially because it's such a competitive year. Because you got Cillian Murphy and
they do like people doing like body transformations and going all in, going like 100% on the really shitty haircuts.
Seems like, you could say that, yeah. Say we should shut out whoever did the hair and makeup on that movie because they did a fantastic job.
It was definitely straight out of the 80s.
Yeah, good for Zac Efron for like having that.
Oh man,
fucking hair.
Oh yeah, he looked like Prince Adam from He-Man.
He did, yes. No, that's exactly what it is.
He's got the bowl cut and he's just like massively hench, just like pulled up.
I just thought like when he's like with his kids, I'm like, come on, man, you're a dad. Get a haircut.
Yeah, because they were like, we're in like the mid to late 90s now, man. You can step away from the bowl cut.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, like it's a competitive year. Like we just saw Maestro the other day.
Oh no, I haven't watched that yet. No.
I have.
Could you get past the nose?
I got past the nose. I couldn't get past the voice.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. They got a lot of stick for that nose when that trailer came out.
Yeah, like it ends up not being too bad. Like I feel like they really should have just like not had him wear the nose when he was younger,
right?
And then like do it when you're putting on like the older makeup, like
grows into the nose.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that would have solved the problem.
Remember when the trailer came out, and I was like, well, it's just prosthetics to look like the character. Then someone put up a side-by-side comparison of him with the nose and the actual Leonard Bernstein, and it was like, wow, it's way bigger.
Yeah,
bigger than prosthetic one. Why did they do that?
Because
it's so unnecessary.
Because his nose got bigger when he got older. Because that's what happened. Like they just gave him an old man nose when he was 30.
Right. I guess so. You could just make 2 prosthetic noses. Go on now.
I don't want to go too much into Maestro.
Let's not get sidetracked too.
I mostly didn't like Maestro, but there was like a half-hour scene that I thought was really a half-hour stretch of the movie that I thought was really incredible. It makes it worth watching.
Okay, I'll give it a go eventually.
Yeah, I think overall, like I feel like we do this quite too often. Like we just end up nitpicking a bit too much.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point, right? That's why we're doing deep dive spoiler stuff, so we can just pick the nits and just talk about random stuff.
I know. I feel like wrestling fans who might listen to this might be mad at me. Like I
don't know.
I definitely loved all the wrestling stuff. Like it seems like the Von Erich family certainly is a worthy subject of a movie like this.
Yeah, definitely.
I just like, and I like the movie. I think that it could have been better than it was.
Yeah.
like I say, I can't argue with that. I think I enjoyed it more than you did, but definitely can't argue with the points. Like, there's some things that could have been definitely improved. But no, I would recommend it. I'd say go see it. If you're a wrestling fan, like 100%, go and see it.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't too many people at the theater.
No.
And I think they were all wrestling fans from just the look of it. Like I saw there's some wrestling T-shirts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I feel like that's sort of like the
Yeah, I guess it's a tricky one, like to figure out what the target demographic is for that kind of movie.
well, 'cause it's an A24 movie, right? So it's going to capture like people who like high arts, like dramatic movies. Like it's got some Oscar buzz, so it's going to catch a bit of that crowd. And then
Definitely lets you know that it's a wrestling movie. Like the very first shot, it's just like that slow mo of him stamping, and he's like all the sinew and muscle is like pumping and sweat dripping, and you're like, okay, we got naked dudes wrestling. A lot of shots of guys, muscly guys in their underpants.
yeah,
Too many, I would say. Actually, not many pants in that household.
it definitely was an interesting era in that like it's kind of blending different body types together. Like his dad is an old style wrestler and who just has like a middle-aged man's body, right?
Dad bod wrestling.
Yeah, like mixed with like the steroid kind of era of like.
Saying that, I felt like Zac Efron, I think maybe he just went away and went way too far because he was twice as big as everybody else. And it's like his brothers who were also supposed to be as good at wrestling, it's like he's twice as big as that guy.
Well, yeah, Jeremy Allen White's is very short guy. Like, is the actual wrestler that as short as he was?
I don't know. Like when he said that, like Zac Efron, and it was like coming in at 6'2" and 200 pounds, I was like,
"There's no
Zac
way he's
Efron
6'2".
Too. Come off it.
Okay, well, I guess that's the final word. Is Zac Efron?
How tall are you, Zac Efron? I'm throwing it out to you.
Yeah, because David towered
Jack
over
Hughes.
him. Yeah.
There's no way you're 6'2".
Yeah, come at him.
They could have just changed that and nobody would have cared, or just not mention it. Just leave it nebulous. All right, so we're home.
1:45.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us, guys. Hope you got something out of this. If you saw the movie and listened to this and totally disagree, let us know. And also let us know your favorite fight scenes, right?
Yeah. Was one of them from this movie?
Probably not.
Probably not, but like there were some pretty good ones.
Yeah. I mean, good for the movie, but no one's ever going to say, remember that fight from the Iron Claw? When he did the Iron Claw, that was so cool.
Maybe not.
Spoiler, it's not that cool.
All right, well, until next time, what are some movies that are coming up that we might cover?
You know what? I don't even know. I know we had some that we were talking about, but they've escaped me now. Maybe throw it out there. If anyone has any suggestions they want us to cover, feel free to let us know. We're open to suggestions.
I think January is usually a bit of a dead zone for that sort of thing. I know we're both kind of looking forward to Argyle, which comes out first week of February.
We'll be watching that for sure.
But then, I think January is wide open. So let us know. Let us know feedback on the best fights. Our email again is firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com, and you can find us on all the socials. So it'd be great to hear from you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, once again, thanks for sticking with us, guys. And for this week, that's the final word.
Bye.